Good day, friends, and a warm welcome to this talk. My name is Dr. Sanjay Kalra. I am from India. We'll be talking about the Indian subcontinent today. Now, we all know that the holy month of Ramadan is important for all believers. We have to fast from dawn to sunset. In this, we have to refrain from intake of food, liquids, and oral medications. But what is the aim of Ramadan? The aim of Ramadan is certainly not to create hardship for people. It is to help people enjoy better health. Now, World Health Organization defined health a few decades ago. They call it a state of not only physical but also emotional, social, spiritual well-being. But this definition of health was understood by Islam even 1500 years ago. And the holy month of Ramadan is meant to create holistic health, comprehensive health, not only biophysical, but also social, cultural, spiritual, emotional. And that is why believers fast during the month of Ramadan. Studies have shown that people continue to fast during Ramadan, irrespective of whether they are living with diabetes or not. While the vast majority do fast at least 15 days during the month, around 70 to 85%, more than 50% fast every day. And this is irrespective of whether they have type 1 or type 2 diabetes. Now, there can be risks, of course, especially during summer months in South Asia, in the Indian subcontinent, which can be very hot, very humid, and in the northern parts of our subcontinent, where the fasting period can last up till 18 to 20 hours a day. There are persons who live with diabetes may develop hypo or hyperglycemia. They can also develop dehydration and thrombosis and might land up in diabetic ketoacidosis. So we have to be aware of these risks. Sleep patterns also change along with nutrition patterns or dietary patterns. And all these have an impact on glucose levels, especially hyperglycemia after iftar and hypoglycemia during the fasting period. But the Creed study showed that there was not too much of an impact of fasting. Whether patients had episodes of hypoglycemia before Ramadan or they did not have episodes of hypoglycemia during Ramadan, they still continued to fast. But this did predict the incidence of hypoglycemia during the fasting period. Now, with all these in mind, healthcare professionals across the South Asian subcontinent have been trying to build awareness and build healthy practices around fasting during Ramadan. We are part of the entire world and we are part of DAR and we use international guidelines. But sometimes it becomes difficult to motivate our average uh, population, the normal population, to follow the right practices. We have been trying. We have been reaching out to the public. We have been reaching out to the Maulanas, to the ulemas. We have also been reaching out to fellow healthcare professionals. And especially over the last decade or so, as endocrinology has grown as a subject in Bangladesh, in India, in Pakistan, and in neighboring countries, as endocrinology has grown as a subject, endocrinologists have begun focusing more on healthy fasting during Ramadan. In the Indian Journal of Endocrinology and Metabolism, the first series of articles that came out on Ramadan fasting was in the year 2011, that is 12 years ago. And since then, our work on Ramadan, research, guidance, all this has increased manifold. But we still wanted to identify awareness, practices, and experiences of persons before and during Ramadan. So this online survey was done in three countries, that is Bangladesh, India, and Pakistan, from April to May 2021. Our lead author is Dr. Shaila Sheikh from Saifi Hospital in Mumbai, India. The questionnaire was customized in vernacular language, and we looked at gaps in knowledge, behavior, and practice. Trained healthcare professionals collected the data on a one-to-one basis, and it was analyzed using GraphPad software. We were able to analyze more than 3,000 participants, of whom slightly more than half were women. 40% reported that they did not undergo any evaluation during Ramadan. Before Ramadan, sorry. 40% did not undergo any evaluation during before Ramadan. But a higher proportion, relatively, said that they were planning to get the uh, evaluation done after Eid. That was nearly 90%. Again, nearly 90%, that is exactly 86.6%, reported they had fasted the last year. And roughly the same percent said they were going to fast in the coming year. Two-thirds, that is 65.6%, reported that diabetes did not pose a medical challenge to them. We must note that the average age was about 50 years, though there was a wide range, and most of our patients were educated, even though 60% were educated only up till high school. So none of them was illiterate. Slightly more than half were on oral medications. About 1/4 were on oral medications and insulins. More than half had at least one comorbidity, whether hypertension, macrovascular, or microvascular. So what you see here is a relatively young cohort, age 50 years, all educated. 86% of them had fasted last year. Yet, 40% of them did not plan to undergo a pre-Ramadan medical evaluation. 65% thought that there would be no medical challenge. And when we asked them specifically, they said that they were not aware that there is an increased risk of hypoglycemia or dehydration during the holy month. And this was answered by 31 and 32% of our participants, respectively. So we see a significant gap in terms of knowledge. But you remember we just spoke at the beginning about the comprehensive definition of health, and see where health comes in, where optimism, spiritual health, happiness comes in, confidence comes in. 81% of our participants perceived that Ramadan helps to control diabetes. 78% were confident regarding their own ability to control glucose levels. And it is this optimism which helps define health. And when we speak of person-centered diabetes management or person-centered Ramadan management, we must keep this in mind. We must talk about reality, realism. We must mitigate the risks. We must tell them that there is the risk of hypoglycemia, dehydration, other complications, but we should not spoil their optimism or their spiritual health. 78% were confident that they would fast during the entire month. 40% felt that if they took diabetes medication, that would be a barrier to fasting. And very importantly, 43% perceived that finger pricking for glucose monitoring would break the fast. This is a major challenge for us in India. Our colleagues in Bangladesh have been more proactive, and there are fatwas from the leading mosque in Dhaka in Bangladesh, which explain that checking glucose is not haram during fasting. The reason is that when you're checking glucose, blood is going out of the body. Nothing is coming into the body. We use this to explain to our patients in India and in Pakistan as well. And there is a lot of local variance. In some parts of the country, we are able to speak with the Maulanas, with the ulema, and they are able to spread the message. In other parts, sometimes it doesn't work. But this is something that we have to focus on. And here you can see from our data, we have to work on it in a very focused manner, because 43% of our patients still perceive that finger pricking is haram. And remember, this is a highly educated group. 43% felt that finger pricking would break the fast, but 54% did monitor their glucose only during non-fasting hours, not during the fasting hours. Another thing about spiritual health was that 75% practiced Taraweeh prayers regularly. This is good for spiritual health. It is also good for physical health. And a similar percentage, 75%, followed medical advice regarding dose adjustment, dose titration. So spiritual health and medical health, both are respected by 75% of participants. One not so nice thing is that nearly 16% of our participants did not have suhoor. So that means really extended fasting. Here, I would like to take a minute to talk about nutrition. Now, Indian subcontinent food is the tastiest food in the world. Come to India, everyone is welcome. Please join us in our hospitality, especially for iftar. But the thing is, when you are talking of diet and nutrition, do talk about culinary science, culinary medicine. That means how to cook. And when you're talking about how to cook, do not think only about the consumer, the person who is eating food. Please think about the cook, the lady who has to cook food pre-dawn. So she has to get up, prepare food for everybody, feed the family, feed herself, all this before dawn. So whatever recipes we advise during Ramadan, they should be consumer friendly and cook friendly. They should be healthy and nutritious, but they should also be happy and harmonious. The entire family should have harmony through those recipes. So please do not complicate and make complex all these all the meal preparation during Ramadan. Spare a thought for the lady of the house who has to do the cooking. And this 16% should come down to zero, ideally. Now, we talked of healthy and nutritious food. It should also be happy and healthy, happy and fulfilling, like we said. In two-thirds of our patients, iftar included calorie-dense foods. But certainly, 84% said they would prefer to eat healthier food if it were available. Now, if somebody eats one date, that is not haram also. So you can break your fast with a date, even if you have diabetes. It has just 22 calories. But eat it slowly, savor it the way the Prophet wanted it to be. And stop at one or two. Do not eat too many. So all these things that we learned tell us that diabetes education is important. We need to teach our population about hypoglycemia and dehydration risk. We need to teach them about changing medications, also about the need for glucose checking during fasting hours, during non-fasting hours. And then also to talk about the importance of the meal at suhoor and to remember the cook along with the consumer. We need to focus on pre-Ramadan medical evaluation and to encourage everyone to get it done. So how do we do this? We do it by diabetes education. And whom do we educate? Everyone, the entire public, including our religious and community leaders, including the ulema, the maulanas, the community support network. And I thank all my colleagues from Indian endocrinology, Indian diabetes, from Bangladesh, from Pakistan. We work hand in hand, we work shoulder to shoulder to spread the right message about a fulfilling fast during Ramadan. We should specifically focus on persons living with diabetes and also upon healthcare professionals. South Asia, the Indian subcontinent, is a very diverse land. And the maximum number of people in the world who practice the holy fast of Ramadan come from the Indian subcontinent. So, of course, Indonesia is the largest country in the Islamic world. But then we have Bangladesh, India, Pakistan. And as a subcontinent, we contribute to the largest number of believers. So, therefore, we need to contribute to diabetes care and as well. I thank Dar for this opportunity. I thank you for this platform where we can work together to spread the message of good diabetes care during Ramadan, not only during, but before and after as well. And to help propagate the message that you can have a fulfilling fast during Ramadan, even if you live with diabetes, provided that the basic prerequisites, the caveats, the contraindications, the risk stratification is done. Thank you once again, and I look forward to questions, comments, and criticism.